Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call to order the Wickliffe City Council meeting of September 23rd, 2024. Sandy, please call the roll.
Hill.
Excused.
Hurdston.
Here.
Jaworski.
Here.
Kosky. Here. Levon.
Here.
Saloto. Here. Thielman.
Here.
Approval of council minutes. Councilman Gerhardstein.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow Councilwoman Kosky and Councilman Thielman to abstain from voting on the public hearing on the tax budget of June 24th, 2024.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Jaworski, to allow Councilwoman Kosky and Councilman Thielman to abstain from the voting on the meeting minutes of the June 24th, 2024 tax budget hearing. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Hurdston.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kosky. Yes. Levon.
Yes.
Saloto. Yes. Thielman.
Yes.
Councilman Gerhardstein.
I make a motion we approve the public hearing meetings for on the tax budget of June 24th, 2024.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilwoman Saloto, that the meeting minutes of June 24, 2024 tax budget hearing be approved as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Hurdston.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kosky. Abstain. Levon.
Yes.
Saloto. Yes. Thielman.
Abstain.
Councilman Gerhardstein.
I'll make a motion that we allow Councilwoman Kosky and Councilman Thielman to abstain from the voting on the Wickliffe City Council meeting minutes of June 24th, 2024.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Jaworski, to allow Councilwoman Kosky and Councilman Thielman to abstain from voting on the council meeting minutes of June 24th, 2024. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Hurdston.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kosky. Yes. Levon.
Yes.
Saloto. Yes. Thielman.
Yes.
Councilman Gerhardstein.
I make a motion we approve the city council meeting minutes of June 24th, 2024.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilwoman Saloto, to that the council meeting minutes of June 24th, 2024 be approved as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Hurdston.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kosky. Abstain. Levon.
Yes.
Saloto. Yes. Thielman.
Abstain.
Councilman Gerhardstein.
I make a motion we approve the city council meeting minutes of September 9th, 2024. I'm sorry. I make a motion we allow Councilman Jaworski to abstain from the vote on council meeting minutes September 9th, 2024.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Thielman, to allow Councilman Jaworski to abstain from voting on the council meeting minutes of September 9th, 2024. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Hurdston.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kosky. Yes. Levon.
Yes.
Saloto. Yes. Thielman.
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve the council meeting minutes from 9/9/2024.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Thielman, seconded by Councilwoman Saloto, that the council meeting minutes of September 9th, 2024 be approved as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Hurdston.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Abstain.
Kosky. Yes. Levon.
Yes.
Saloto. Yes. Thielman.
Yes.
Reports and communications from the Mayor, Safety Director.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everybody. First, I would like to start off by saying Dino Capra, our property inspector, has passed all his state testing and has all of his building certification. Just wanted to congratulate him. The budget, our finance director has begun the budgeting process for the 2025 budget. Worksheets have been distributed to the administrators and she has begun compiling information. Council President Levon, I would like to ask that the 2025 budget be put into the Finance Committee. Ms. Hunter will let us know when she has the temporary budget ready and to present to Council. Tailgate this Sunday. Again, the City of Wickliffe, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and Club Molisani has all partnered up, spent many months preparing this to try it for the first time, to have a football tailgate for this Sunday, September 29th. The event begins at 1 p.m. Our Lady of Mount Carmel, Trevi's, Wickliffe football boosters will be cooking up A storm, brisket, mac and cheese, hot dogs, all that stuff will be available for purchase, as well as lemonade, beer, and wine. There will be a DJ, and we will be broadcasting the football throughout the event. The boosters will be selling raffle tickets for a few signed Joe Juravicious items, and Wickliffe Swing Band will entertain at 4 o'clock. The Browns vs. Raiders game begins at 4:30. There will be no parking at Club Molisani. We have arranged for 2 shuttles to taxi attendees from Borromeo CPL, where people can park for free. Bring a lawn chair and join us for a day of tailgate fun. And then Shred Files Day, Saturday, October 5th from 9 a.m. till noon. Keep Wickliffe Beautiful will hold their annual Shred Files Day here at the Old Service Garage. The event will be held rain or shine, and they will accept 4 bags or boxes of shred-able documents per household from residents only. Please, no businesses. We get quite a few calls on this throughout the year, and we are happy that Keep Wickliffe Beautiful sponsors this event for our residents each year. And that's all I have.
Any questions or comments from the mayor, safety director? Councilman Jaworski.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry I didn't hear. What was that date and time again for the shred?
October 5th from 9 a.m. till noon.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments from the mayor, safety director? Thank you, Mayor. Reports and communications from the director of law.
2 quick minor things. The adult use legislation I will have next meeting, working with the attorney who did the legislation with the state to make sure we're crossing all our T's, dotting all our I's. So that'll be on the table next time. And then also letting everybody know that as per our ordinance, the prosecutor is going to begin attending the planning commission meetings in my stead. I've been attending all of them. We did all that major overhaul of rezoning and all that kind of stuff, so I want to stay involved for that. So I'll be with him at the next meeting, and then he'll take over those meetings from there. And that's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the law director? Councilman Jaworski.
Jeremy, I just want to follow up on something that came up at the last meeting. You had mentioned that you're currently working on rewriting a lot of the city's policies. Mm-hmm. When will those be done and finished so council will be able to read them so we know what those policies are?
I would say that there's a couple that we want to get out quickly, an FMLA policy, some other ones like that I should have probably within the next, probably before we have our next meeting. The rest of them, I would say I should have drafts finished by mid-October. And the plan would be to try to put those all into place probably with the January 1st date, because it's a pretty full, comprehensive thing. So looking at most likely mid-October for those, a couple ones that we want to make sure we start getting on the books now that we kind of already have to comply with anyway, like FMLA, should have those probably before the next meeting.
Once they're out there for the employees to see, could you just please make sure council, at least I just like to read them so I know what the policies are.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any further? Councilman Guards?
Mr. Law Director, so there's been a lot of talk in the last couple of weeks, especially in the newspaper, about the online auctions, right? The going into the roll house. And they're up on the docket for Planning Commission in 2 weeks. So our Chapter 703 kind of prohibits auctions except if it's, so we're good. All the Ohio Revised Code, that's all been looked into, so when they do go to Planning Commission, we're going to be okay on that, the auction part.
We will be, certainly by that. I wouldn't necessarily want to opine on much of that right now, but yes, we'll make sure that we are up on everything that we are allowed to approve or not allowed to approve.
And if so, does the auction need to go into committee? So this has to be changed. Granted, this was dated back, this thing's passed at 83. Boy, I'm sure way before they ever thought there'd be online auctions as it was. So if this has to be looked at, I'm sure people it needs to go into either the committee of the whole or whatever we're going to talk about, amending Chapter 703 for auction.
Yeah, I'll make sure everybody's fully apprised of what we should do and whether or not that should go into committee for discussion before any type of approval.
And you'll know that before they bother to go to Planning Commission, if they're even allowed to be here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further questions or comments for the law director? Thank you, Jeremy. Mm-hmm. Communications from Council President. I'll add that 2025 temporary budget into the Finance Committee. And Finance Director Hunter, just please let me know when that's all ready, and we'll get a meeting call for that, okay? Thank you. Any amendments or additions to the agenda? Councilwoman Koski.
I would like to add ordinance number 2022-18 to new business, item B.
We'll add to new business item B, ordinance 2022-18. Any other amendments or additions to the agenda? Councilman Jaworski.
Mr. Council President, I brought this up back in, I think it was the last meeting we had, maybe that June 24th meeting, where we have these construction projects that sometimes can go well over a decade long. And I think the question is, at what point in time should that project go back to Planning Commission to make sure that the rules are still applicable for, for those projects, considering how things change. And I would just ask, I don't know what to call that, but I would ask if we could put that topic into committee, so we could make that, I guess, new business C.
All right. Is it the length of the permit, or is it or just a job completion?
Yeah.
Is it road projects or all
No,
projects?
it's more building projects that just do not get completed, that go on for what I would say longer than they should.
Okay, we'll put incomplete building projects in as new business C.
Thank you.
Okay, any other additions or amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to administrators. Police Chief Bush.
Thank you, Council President. The only thing I have other than my report that I submitted is on the 14th, the next council meeting, we hopefully will be swearing in one more police officer that we have hired tentatively on him passing his medical tests and everything. So that shouldn't be a problem. So on the 14th, we'll be hired. We'll be swearing in James Gray is his name.
Okay. Is that it? Any questions or comments for the police chief? Thank you, Chief. Fire Chief Grossman.
Thank you, Council President Levine. I have nothing to add in my previous report.
Any questions or comments for the fire chief? Councilman Gerhardstein.
Chief, and when the law director's talking about policies, I know one of the policies is going to be about city car usage. Is that going to cover the issue with the firemen taking the chase cars home during the day? Is that going to be in the new policy, or do you have a policy that's changed since then?
I do not know what's going to be in the new city policy, and I do not have a policy that's changed.
So,
Councilman Gerhardstein, I was notified by email that he's addressed that, and that issue, I don't know if it's going to be fully corrected, but it's been addressed.
oh, okay, I didn't get that.
I understand that. I did not relay that
I did not
information
receive the
to
email.
you. I understand that.
If I can.
The law director?
There will be a general policy that will cover that for the fire department, but then there'll also probably be something that we need to do operationally in the fire department to make sure it's covered as well, because the city policy will be a little bit more general, and there could be something more specific operationally in the department.
Oh, I'm sorry about it. I just didn't receive the email.
You're understandable. Councilman Sloto.
To that end, do we have a policy, a comprehensive policy about city car?
No.
Okay, are we going to put together a policy covering that?
Yeah,
Okay. And you're working on that for this new round? Okay.
Yep, yeah, and that
Because
was, there
that's
is.
important, because this whole thing has just been crazy. I mean, let's just put a policy in place and we won't have to do this like public embarrassment stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
Now, it won't be a silver bullet that'll be perfect. They'll still be,
Right.
still gonna work with policy, but it'll help. Yep.
Yeah, I think if something's written down, it would help us when the residents call us and tell us that there's an issue, then we have something to address it back to.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for the fire chief? Thank you, Chief. Finance Director Hunter.
Thank you, Council President. Wanted to let Council know that we received sewer collections today. They were for the period June 14th through August. It was about $623,000. Once we pay the Euclid sewer bill, the most recent one, which is about $200,000, we'll have a balance of about $55,000 in the sewer fund. So we'll be in the positive again. Barely, but it still counts.
Any questions or comments for the Finance Director? Thank you, Ms. Hunter. Engineer Finnegan.
Thank you, Council President. One thing to add to my written report, I'm currently working on a list or a menu of roads for the 2025 improvements so that maybe we can get a head start on that this fall. And I hope by the next meeting that service director and the assistant service director and I can get together and come up with a menu for you. That's all I have.
Appreciate that. Any questions or comments for the city engineer? Councilman Jaworski.
Just more comment, Pete, once that's ready, please let me know, and then we'll get a meeting promptly scheduled for that.
Great, thank you.
Councilman Gardstein.
So, Pete, I read your report, and it looks like the Congressman Joyce's office has come through with the funding for the Euclid Avenue
Yes.
project. So we already have in your projects the Euclid Avenue streetscape that we've been waiting to do on Bellevue on Euclid Avenue. So is it better to move our streetscape now that we know we have a time frame on the Euclid Avenue project before or after?
It would be preferred to do it before, if there was curb work to be done. I'd rather have that done and make the mess, and then we can go back and resurface. That would be the preferred method, yes.
All right, well, I would ask if the council would go ahead and, I mean, do you have plans for this, the streetscape already, or how?
I have to send in what's called a project scope to ODOT to say, okay, let's get the ball rolling on this.
On the streetscape part?
For the streetscape part, yes.
All right, you've been allocated the funds already, we just have to put the plans in?
Yes,
All right. Well, what's the next step for that then, Pete?
to get the project scope in, yes, I can prepare that in the next week.
Does council need to authorize that to you?
Yeah, sure.
Is it the scope or for the plans and specs that we should authorize? I would think it'd be plans and specs.
Yes, to that end, though, with ODOT's new regulations and whatnot, we may have to do some other advertising for other engineers to submit their qualifications, so that it doesn't seem, so that it's not the city just preferring.
No, I understand that. We can do
So,
a motion to
we can do the right
accept,
procedure.
to let you go out and take it out to bid, right? We can
Sure.
do that. Would you just let us know before when you need that done, and we can do that,
Absolutely.
whatever meeting that needs to be done at.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Councilman Jaworski?
I get, Pete, this has just been on your report for so long. I've honestly forgotten what the heck this streetscape entails.
It was basically doing some, a lot of sidewalk improvements, possibly some decorative, like we did in Phase 1 between Lloyd Road and Bellevue with some brick work, just to extend that to the police station, basically.
Fire station.
Possibly.
Fire station.
Excuse me, the fire station. And on the north side, the fire station, skipping the ABB property, however, because of, we don't know what's going to happen there. And then going further south, almost up to 300th Street to Sweetberry. That was the planned extent of the next phase.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the city engineer? Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Service Director Strouser.
Thank you, Council President. The only thing I have to mention is we received a couple of phone calls and on the Rockefeller Road intersection at Ridge Road. I can tell you that most of the feedback we've had has been very positive. I can tell you the wait times are way down for sure. There was one accident there since all this went into place. There was one accident. It wasn't that severe that I know of. I don't know if there's been any more. Maybe the chief could elaborate on that. And but we did have a call the other day from a resident who said that he was close to an accident. I just want to let you guys know that our traffic guy, he's been making some adjustments with the time and stuff like that. But we can only do so much because that was all set up by the state, the pattern and everything, and CT Consultants, traffic engineer. So we can't make big changes there without their approval. I don't want to put the city in a liability issue with making some more changes. But there has been still talk of adding the arrows heading north and south. So that's still up in the air. But our traffic department has been in several meetings now with CT's traffic engineer and also I believe the guy from the state too, right? There was a guy from Columbus, their traffic engineer, head engineer, traffic guy from Columbus. So I just wanted to, they're still under surveillance, so we are going to put a sign up just saying that we're still, trying to tweak the intersection and make it a little better and a little safer if we can.
Good.
That's all.
Any questions or comments? Councilwoman Koski.
Ron, I understand there's been some disappointment in the cleanliness of the work that's being done on Francis? Is
Yeah,
there
we
anything-
addressed it with so the contractor went up there, and when they were saw cutting, they left quite a mess. They ran them through their sweeper, and they didn't do a very good job. What happened was they let it dry first, and it made a little bit of a mess. It will all wash off. We went up there with our sewer jet, we washed down everybody's apron that was
It's still there.
under concern. It is still there, but the majority of it did come off. At least anything, it's a light haze now, but that will all wash off. It's just a concrete debris, just from the saw cutting, that's stained. It didn't really, I shouldn't say it's stained because it's not permanent. It's just the
Yeah,
dust
it's-
that actually made a mess, yeah.
Because its footprint's
It's all
all
over, I know.
tracked and it's not easily removed.
if
It's
we would've
not like
been-
you can just take a hose, because from my understanding, you already had someone, or the contractor had someone up there with water and it didn't come off.
We went up there with our sewer jet and tried to
Okay.
wash it down, but unfortunately, they didn't call us till after it was dry. By the time we were notified from a resident, and by the time we got up there, I shut them up there right after lunch. But like I say, it will all go away for sure. There's the company actually doing all the road projects. There's 7 roads this year. 5 of them are just about complete. So we're happy with the progress that they're making. They're a good overall company, a little bit sloppy on some of their prep work and stuff like that, a little bit sloppy, but other than that, overall, they're not a bad company. But yeah, we have had a few issues with them.
Okay.
Councilwoman Saloto?
Well, I just want to say, I've seen a couple of the roads and they look phenomenal. Like,
Thank you. Yeah, their end product isn't bad. I mean, we
The
had,
end product looks fabulous to me.
yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you. I'll let them know.
Councilman Jaworski?
I hate to ask, but it's the end of September already, which means leaf pickup is going to be starting soon. Is the schedule out? Do we know?
Schedule is not out yet.
Okay.
We're kind of keeping an eye on it. It'll probably be, in the next couple of weeks, we'll start our thing. It'll be sometime early October we'll start. We'll start with the leaf pickup, and that'll just be one truck going out maybe 1 or 2 times a week, But actually, at my house, the leaves are changing already because it's been so dry. They're changing. I think it's going to be early fall. And unfortunately, our new leaf machine that we have on order since last December is still not here. He's saying it's going to be between Halloween and Thanksgiving. It should be delivered. So we'll miss the first part of the season, but hopefully we'll be able to do the bulk of it. That's as much as they would tell us.
Any further questions or comments for the service director? Thank you, Ron. Building Commissioner Sack.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I just wanted to let you know that I am getting prepared to send a package out for OLA this week. They're due out this end of this week, so I'll get with Jeremy on that to see, make sure everything's all right. They are on schedule to go. That's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the Building Commissioner? Councilman Gerhardstein.
So Ray, there were some emails going around today about a complaint that was happened up on Ridge Road about a sewer dye test that the company didn't remove the dirt. So, and you said in one of your emails about some type of dirt. I don't know what you're talking about. All I can go by is by your office's regulations, right? Because this is from your sewer dye test. It says evacuation dirt shall be removed from the property. It doesn't say that somebody can make a decision on if it stays or goes. It says the dirt needs to be removed.
In some instances, it's loamy soil, which is the same thing as the sand. It's up here. It used to be thousands of years ago that the lake used to be up here. It's all loamy soil. I told them they could use that. They left the pile there because they're going to like tops dress some of the backyard with that. And there's some low spots.
I just think that the resident that called me to complain about this was concerned that when they had their test, you did not allow them to leave any dirt on their site. And then this person was allowed to leave dirt. So I think the confusion is that, and I looked at the pictures that the guy sent. That's not sand, that's dirt. Everybody's got the picture in their email.
Right.
That's not sand.
He's not done with it yet. They're not done with that job.
Okay. Well, you understand the problem is that it's not the same, it doesn't seem like it's the same for everybody, and that's where the problems come in.
No, well, he's still not done with the job, that's what I like to say. He left that dirt intentionally there to use it on the rest of the lot. So that will be gone once he does that. That will be removed.
I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't go again. It says in your own guidelines, excavated dirt must be removed. It doesn't say they could reuse it.
If it's sandy loam, we have let people use that before.
Okay, right. I just don't think it's not the same. Your guidelines doesn't say that. You're out of your own office doesn't say that.
We have done that before.
Does it say when it has to be removed?
It says excavated dirt shall be removed. That's just all. There's no timeline. But, well, no, that's the other part. There is no timeline. It just says must be removed.
It's
So,
gonna be removed, right?
I don't know.
That's the plans for it.
Well-
Okay. Okay.
Any further questions or comments for the building commissioner? Councilman Jaworski.
Ray, back in June, when I brought up what we'll be talking about for new business C, I had mentioned it was brought on by work that was going on at the sandbar. And I had asked at that point in time to see the planning commission recommendations from that meeting. I still have not received that. Could you please get that to me soon?
I will get it to you.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments for the building commissioner? Thank you, Rick. Recreation Director, stop.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Nothing to add to my previous report.
Any questions or comments for the Recreation Director? Thank you, Tim. I will now open the floor for audience participation. If anyone would like to address the Wickliffe City Council, please stand, state your name and address for the clerk's record. Since these meetings are being recorded, she has a microphone that has to be used. Each person will have a 5-minute maximum amount of time. Would anyone like to address Wickliffe City Council? Would anyone like to address Wickliffe City Council? If not, I'll mark audience participation closed.
Nope.
What? What was that? I didn't see anybody raise their hand or stand up. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. She has a microphone. Can you use that, please?
I wasn't sure if I was allowed to talk today.
Yeah, this is, anybody in the audience is allowed to speak here.
Well, what I have questions on is not regarding. It's here. Testing. You won't hear it. It's for
Okay,
the,
sounds good. Everybody can hear me?
Yep.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Josie Milisic. I own Casa Divino down the street, 28932 Euclid Avenue, Wickliffe, Ohio. And it's not regarding what we're talking about tonight, but it is regarding city changing the ordinance regarding the cannabis law. So I did have a couple questions, if I may.
Sure.
So, the specific issue of this amendment addressing, what is the change of impact this regulation?
What's the change of impact?
Yeah.
Well, currently, we currently don't allow recreational or adult use in the city, but per a discussion in the meeting minutes that'll be read after this audience participation, we're had the discussion of authorizing the law director to allow us to have one in the city.
Okay, so my question is, how do we decide to do just one? What's the qualifications to just?
There's state regulations, and there's already 2 that have already applied, or one that's already here, that's a medical that wants to transfer to adult use.
Correct.
And we have another interested party that also came to the law director and mayor about potentially doing that as well. But at this point in time, the committee, based on the discussion last week, it sounded like they were only, there were multiple committee members that didn't really want one, but they would accept one. And there was others that were okay with more than one, but as far as a piece of legislation, we thought we'd start with one and then maybe readdress this maybe 6 or 8 months down the road and see if there's any interest in having a second one. But we don't want to say have 3 and then people keep voting it down, then 2, and then 1, keep having pieces of legislation that get voted down because people don't want that many.
Okay.
Go ahead, Law Director.
I was just going to address that briefly. So the state law allows, obviously, medical.
Every two miles.
And so they allow municipalities to determine whether or not they want to prohibit it outright or limit the number. So it allows them to do either. So then that's up to the legislative body to determine if they'd like to have none, if they'd like to have some, and how many they would like to have and where they would be. fee. So the state law allows the municipality to decide that. So the discussion was, rather than prohibiting it outright, looking at a certain number, and based on ordinances that we've passed in the past, sometimes when we introduced that legislation with a higher number, it kept having to get done over and over and over. I think this time it was determined to, rather than starting high and moving our way down, start with the one that's already authorized by the state to sell, that's already operating.
I think the mayor had something he wanted to add to that as well.
Well, something that I found out today about, so when I spoke with you and where your location is, and there was another, now let's say hypothetically, if council were allowed to, or were to allow two of them, right?
Correct.
On Euclid Ave, let's say they allowed, if they were to do that, then it gets a little bit trickier, because the building that's across the street, then it goes into state regulations. So the state regulations, so wouldn't allow two to be across the street from each other.
Correct.
Okay, so the other business that, you know, the building across the street was purchased, I want to say 2 years ago, it might have been before 2 years ago, with the intent, knowing that we allowed the medical facility, knowing that sooner or later the recreation adult use was going to pass, they purchased. So what would happen, so if council were to allow another one, we would have to go to the, kind of what we did with the internet cafes, to the first come, first serve, because then it would be, who would we allow, you know, between the two buildings that are across the street from them. So, you know, to get us out of a jam or any liability, it would have to go with the finest, or the building that's across the street, because they came many years ago, or a couple years ago, interested in that. You know, they would technically have to be them, right? Is that the best way I can clear that up?
Yeah, so if we allowed more than one, so the two
Was it
pieces
for
that-
medical use?
No.
No. So
Okay, so
to tie a bow on that just real quick, so the local municipalities are allowed to regulate either prohibiting it or allowing a certain number. Once the municipality decides to either prohibit it outright or have a certain number which they're allowed to do, then even that certain number still has to comply with the state law, so we can't supersede the state law. So then the state law would determine where we legally are allowed to let them be, whether it's near a school, near another, those kind of things.
I understand
They have
that.
to work in concert. So even if the city determined they were going to allow more than one, those more than one would still have to comply with the state law in terms of where they were located.
Correct. Back in June, when we reached out to the city, it was before we applied for any permits or any licensing. It was all fine, and there was no, nobody was actually applying for that location across the street, the fine lines. We're talking about that. So that's what I'm saying, like, what made the change all of a sudden? So you guys knew back in July that we were looking to license that building as well. How come we have all the sudden changes, like?
Maybe you talked to a different person now, because if you talked to me and I was when I spoke with the building commissioner or the law director, the building across the street, I thought there was interest in from there a while back. I want to say 2 years ago, Ray, you know, when the building was purchased, and the purchase was the intent to make it a marijuana dispensary if they were able to get the proper license, because that's all what it hinged on. We have the buildings are here, but we have no say about the state, what the state's going to require them. After that, then they would have to go to the legislative body here to see what they were going to allow. So there's many gates to that whole process.
Yeah,
I'm not saying there's not.
Part of the reason for the timing, I didn't mean to interrupt you, part of the reason for the timing is we were waiting on the state legislator to actually allow it, because it was passed by referendum. The state legislature actually could have mixed it all together and still not allowed it. So those licenses kept becoming a moving target, and when they were going to give the licenses, and they didn't actually officially allow the adult use licenses until last month. So prior to that, there was no official demarcation of them actually being allowed or not.
Okay, I understand.
Quick question now. So the state says that we cannot do across the street from each other, right?
No.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
All right. I have a question if you
Oh, hold on. Can you stand and give your name and address, please?
Hi, my name is Joseph Zingalis, and my question is, the state actually has a lottery, and they're giving approval on the building that you're actually, what you're trying to sell, register. So if you get approval before Finest Lines, then what would happen at that point? Because then I would think it would come down to who's approved first.
That would be a consideration. I'll be honest with you, in terms of timing of applications and who gets awarded and who doesn't, I would have to do a little bit of research before I would want to opine directly on what that would be.
Councilman Thielman?
That's what I was going to ask. What is the specific triggering mechanism that puts you in line? Is it the state license, or is it them filing for an occupancy permit?
That's something I will have to research, and I'm
Because
working
if you
with
just
the-
say, hey, I want to do this, but you've never submitted anything to the city, then
Right.
I don't think you're in line for anything.
No, we certainly wouldn't want to
In my
have
opinion.
some random choice there. Like, it'll have to be based on something, and I'm working with the attorney who did the state legislation and working on our legislation, so I'll make sure that that is clear and known, and that we do it the correct way, and that they're awarded the correct way, and that the order that they are given, if there's allowed to be more than one, that we would have a good rational basis for why those choices are made.
So I would suggest, well, in my opinion, file an occupancy permit, even if it gets rejected, at least you're.
Well, understood. I would too if I were in your case, but understand, we haven't even written legislation, we haven't even passed the legislation, we don't even know if we're gonna have any dispensaries in the city at this point in time. It has to be read 3 times, the ordinance has to be presented to us, and it hasn't even been presented to us, so we're talking 2 months down the line before we even approve potentially one.
I'm just saying,
I know,
as a
but
strategy.
I would agree with you, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna have 1, 2, or 3. We don't even know how many we're gonna have. At this point in time, legislation hasn't been passed yet. So at this point, we have 0 non-adult use dispensaries in the city that the city is currently allowing.
Can I ask what are the potential drawbacks and concerns with this amendment, passing it, having it 2?
There are multiple council people that don't want it in the city. I think one of the comments was morally not what he wanted in the city, or he or she wanted in the city. There was others that just don't believe that it should be used. I think the police chief had once said that he doesn't want that, his preference wouldn't want to be in the city as well. So at a previous meeting, he said that. So there's multiple people that just don't approve of marijuana or the dispensary being in the city.
Okay, so I'm not trying to like push buttons or anything, but I'm just trying to say, how many times was police called at the aboutness compared to all the bars around?
That I don't have that information.
I mean, I'm just trying to get some research, like why are we so against something that is proven by state, actually helps people, not overusing it, not abusing it, but it helps people.
Understand. I don't have a true read on the council. We'll find out when the ordinance comes out and what it gets, there's discussion on it, and if it gets approved or passed, or approved or denied, whether, if the council people wanted to say why they're for it or why they're against it.
Okay, I'm just trying to look at it from a business perspective. The financial director just said that we're down to 50,000 in sewer
Yes, we're
funds.
at 50,000.
So
We also
do
have
we
$50,000
look?
in our general.
No. What I'm trying to say is, will this business bring job openings? Will this business bring a lot of revenue for city?
Revenue for tax, for sure. But
It'll bring revenue for tax,
Yeah.
sales tax, employees. When we were open, we were bringing money. Now, COVID kind of killed us. We couldn't come back. But I just think we should take our emotions out and think about, like, business people, what would help with the city. Like the leaf truck, 2 would be great. I'm just trying to think, I think as a business person, not as emotionally attached to some things.
Understood. Yeah, you've expressed your opinion, and that they're going to either vote their opinion, or, you know, however they feel. They're going to vote.
No,
the residents
absolutely.
voted for it, or they are going to vote against it because that's their moral belief.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and if I could just add one more logistical piece to all of this. Part of the reason why the legislative process usually requires 3 readings to do something, so that all that discussion can be had. So that legislation will be on starting next meeting. It'll be 3 meetings from there. Most of the discussion will probably be in that 3rd meeting, so you're talking 6 weeks worth of meetings to have that discussion, and all of the things that you brought up are relevant to the conversation that we have definitely all had. And So I would encourage you to be involved in that
Oh,
conversation. because
I will,
all
absolutely,
of
yeah.
those things that everybody here and yourself have said is all relevant to trying to determine whether we should have none, one, more than one, where they go, all that kind of stuff.
Well,
So-
pros and cons are always good to go by,
Absolutely.
so.
And that's why we have the process of having 3 readings so that we can go through all of the pros and cons and make the most educated decision that we can.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for listening to me.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? If not, I'll mark audience participation closed. Committee reports. The committee of the whole met on September 16, 2024, meeting called at 7 p.m. to discuss adult use cannabis dispensaries. Present, Gerhardstein, Jaworski, Koski, Levon, Thielman. Excused, Bala, Saloto. Also present, Mayor Sakis, Law Director Iusu, Police Chief Bush, Finance Director Hunter, and Building Commissioner Sack. Kate Bowles, the Executive Vice President of the Revenue of The Botanist, presented to the committee. She informed the committee about the mission and vision of her parent company Acreage. Acreage has 10 locations in 10 states. Acreage has locations in 10 states, including 9 cultivation and processing facilities and 250 dispensaries. She also provided details of the Botanist dispensaries. There are 5 locations in Ohio: Akron, Canton, Cleveland, Columbus, and Wickliffe. They have ranked highest in security and operations over all other medical marijuana dispensaries in Ohio. The location in Wickliffe was established in 2019. Non-medical or adult use sales started on August 6, 2024. They believe that the split will be 40% medical serving approximately 6,300 people and 60% non-medical adult use, approximately 4,500 new customers in a 30-day period. As far as operations and security, she stated that they have had less than 1 security incident per year since inception. There are 65 plus cameras and access control doors with 24/7 remote access by the state. Product is stored in a vault, not in open areas. No product displays are visible from outside of the building. An ID check against the database is in use at the front door for all guests. Overflow parking is available across the street in the shopping center, and that they employ 30 plus full-time employees. She advised Ohio's progress regarding marijuana sales, that there are currently 134 operating dispensaries. Approximately 200 additional retail licenses will be issued. 3 to 4 additional licenses are expected to be issued between Lake, Geauga, and Portage counties. And any new dispensaries will have at least a 1-mile buffer from existing locations. She also explained the taxes that would benefit the city. A 10% excise tax on non-medical adult use cannabis sales. 30% of that 10% excise tax would go to Wickliffe as the host city. So an estimated $17,500 per month, or $210,000 per year in tax revenue. She then offered to answer any questions. Levon asked if they were confident in the size of their building since they are seeing more patrons. She stated that there was no need for expansion as visitors are only there briefly and do not window shop. Her presentation ended at 7:25. Law Director Iusu informed the committee that council will really have 3 options. 1, prohibit adult use non-medical sales in the city through an ordinance. 2, do nothing and allow the Botanist and other dispensaries to open up sales in the city. Or 3, limit the number of dispensaries in the city via an ordinance. Gerhardstein asked Iusu if the committee chose option 3, would we be rewriting Chapter 748 of the codified ordinance? Iusu replied that that would probably be the best path forward. Gerhardstein also informed the committee that when the state voted to legalize marijuana in 2023, the city of Wickliffe voters passed it at a rate of 61%, and that every precinct in the city voted in favor of approving legislation. Thielman asked for confirmation on the mile buffer between future potential dispensaries and the Botanist, and asked if there were limitations between dispensaries and schools, churches, etc. The 1 mile buffer between dispensaries was confirmed, but the law director will look into see if this applies to other locations. Jaworski would like to have the Botanist appear in front of the Planning Commission again to discuss their parking situation. Since there is a potential increase in traffic, he would like to allow their neighbors to speak if they had any issues or concerns. Gerhardstein agreed and stated that he reread the meeting minutes from when they originally appeared in front of the Planning Commission, and the biggest discussion point was the parking. Building Commissioner Snack told the committee that he does an annual inspection of the facility and he has not heard any complaints from the neighbors, but believes it is a good idea to ask them to appear before the Planning Commission again. Gerhardstein asked if the appearance at Planning Commission would just be for a parking plan or would it include an updated conditional use permit. If it included an updated conditional use permit, we would need to hold a public hearing. Sack stated he would apply both items to the meeting. Mayor Sack has informed the committee that a second party wants to open a dispensary in Wickliffe, and since it is his job to fill buildings with employees and revenue, he recommends we allow at least 2 dispensaries in the city. Gerhardstein stated that he was only good with one. Thielman prefers that we don't have any, but he would be okay with one. Vaughn stated that we received emails from Bala and Saloto with their thoughts on this topic. Although both couldn't make it due to work conflicts, they both supported marijuana sales in the city. Their emails will be attached to these minutes. Vaughn also stated that he preferred to start with 1 dispensary, and if council wanted to revisit in the future, they could modify the chapter to allow additional locations in the city. The committee recommends to council that they authorize the law director to create legislation to amend Chapter 748 and allow a maximum of 1 non-medical adult use dispensary in the city of Wickliffe. Meeting adjourned at 7:50 p.m. Respectfully submitted. Any commission reports? Seeing no old business, moving on to new business A, bid presentation acceptance for the Empire Road and Cary Lane sanitary sewer lining project. It's Mr. Formica.
Thank you, Council President. On September 6th, we opened bids for the Empire Road, Cary Lane sanitary sewer lining project. We only received 1 bid. That was the bid of United Survey of Oakwood Village, Ohio. Their bid was in the amount of $609,817 compared to my engineer's estimate of $619,000. We reviewed their bid, and it is acceptable in conformance with all the regulations.
Councilman Jaworski.
Mr. Council President, I'll make a motion that we accept the bid of United Survey, Inc., 25145 Broadway Avenue, Oakwood Village, Ohio, 44146, in the amount of $609,817 as the best and most responsive bid, and that all other bids be rejected.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Jaworski, seconded by Councilman Gerhardstein to accept the bid of United Survey, Inc. of 25145 Broadway Avenue, Oakwood Village, Ohio, 44146, for the Empire Road and Cary Lane sanitary sewer lining project at a price not to exceed $609,817 as the lowest and best bid. Discussion? Councilman Gerhardstein.
Just for clarification, Ron, this is funding coming out of the ARPA fund?
That's correct.
Thank you.
This will encumber all the rest of them, I believe.
It will, and there's 13,000 coming from the capital fund, but most of it is from the ARPA fund.
I'm sorry?
13,000 will be coming from the capital fund, but most of it is ARPA.
Is the ARPA fund just about expired?
It will be.
All
It will
right.
all be encumbered by the end of the year.
Thank you.
And to meet the bid will be 13,000.
Any further discussion on the motion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Okay. New business B, ordinance 2022-18, Councilwoman Kowski.
Yes, I received a call from Chief Grossman requesting a change in the manpower ceiling, and I would like to call a safety committee meeting to discuss that.
We'll put ordinance 2022-18 in the safety committee, and then you want to call for a meeting for when?
This coming Monday?
So September 30th at 7 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. So safety committee to discuss ordinance 2022-18 on September 30th at 7 p.m. Any other topic? That's it? Okay. New business C, incomplete building projects. Councilman Jaworski.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Again, this came up back in June, where we have a project that's been going on now for what seems like 15 or 20 years. I know that this is an irregularity, but we need something on the books to at least say if a project goes for a certain length of time, that it come back to Planning Commission to make sure that all the rules and regulations are still applicable. In other words, if we have a project that's going on 15 years and there's been some kind of change, that project should then have to at least adhere to that change. Right now, there's nothing on the books for that.
Okay. I'll put incomplete building projects into the committee of the whole. And I'll call for a meeting on that for September 30th, following the safety committee meeting. Okay, Mayor?
Yeah, so I think a little bit of that goes back to, you know, I'm not trying to point blame on previous administration, but if we go back 15 years or when that started, if that vacant building code was enforced, I think that would be a whole different subject down there. I really do. I think they'd be at, what, 15 years, it'd be at that 3 million or something.
Yes, the duplicating charge would have some impact, but I think understanding that if state regulations change within 4 or 5 years of that project, we still need to have them adhere to that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I mean, there should be a reasonable time and granted, I understand that the length of the construction project can vary depending on what it is.
Right.
But I think that there's reasonable times and to say, okay, once it's past a reasonable time, you would need to come back just to make sure that everything is still good.
Councilman Garstein?
So, since you brought that up, Mayor, what year is that building on?
They've been paying their vacant property fee. I don't know what year it is, but they pay every year. This year, I think it's gonna be 12 or 14,000. So
Okay, I just asked what.
Yeah, so it's going, and I get a call, and I think I've relayed on, I get a call from every year. He's mad because he thinks it's the best looking building on Euclid Avenue, but I always say the same thing. It's lipstick on a pig. It does nothing for our community, and it's empty, and it don't, you know, so it will remain on there until the project's done. But I agree, we do, yeah, it's just been a long, see, I get the question on that bar at least once a month.
Understood. Okay, so we'll call for that meeting for next Monday as well, to see if there's anything we can add to a specific chapter in there, to give it a little more teeth, or at least to have ourselves covered, right?
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll move on to ordinances.
Ordinance number 2024-47, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 1 new playground structure and additional play panels, including installation from Snyder Recreation, Inc. for Orlando Park in the city of Wickliffe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Jaworski, seconded by Councilman Thielman, to suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2024-47 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please go. Oh, sorry. Mr. Stop.
Yes, Finance Director Hunter and Service Director Strouser and myself were able to get our heads together, and the funding for this will come from if approved, will come from the Capital Projects Fund, Equipment Improvements, Parks and Buildings line item is 401-000-80702. The improvement at the service department roof did not cost as much as anticipated, so there are some funds that were still available that we can use for this.
That's good news. Any further discussion on this? Councilman Jaworski.
Not this, but I think overall, with my girls, I've been going out to more of the playgrounds around the city. These structures are really starting to age, and some of them, I'll point to one up here at Colby, I think is starting to become dangerous as well. We need to start looking at these, I think, almost on like we should be doing with the traffic signals, where we're starting to replace these things on a regular basis.
Agreed. Any further discussion on suspension? Sandy, please call the roll.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski. Yes. Levon.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Seelman.
Yes. Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Thielman, seconded by Councilman Jaworski, to adopt ordinance 2024-47 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Seelman.
Yes.
Ordinance passes.
Ordinance number 2024-48, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio to enter into a contract with United Survey, Inc. for the Empire Road and Cary Lane sanitary sewer lining project and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Saloto, seconded by Councilman Jaworski, to suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2024-48 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Seelman.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Kowski, seconded by Councilman Thielman, to adopt ordinance 2024-48 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Gerhardson.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto.
Yes.
Steelman.
Yes.
Ordinance passes.
Ordinance number 2024-49, an ordinance levying an assessment for unpaid bills and costs of cutting noxious or poisonous weeds, vines, tree limbs, or grasses grown upon parcels of land in the city of Wickliffe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Thielman, seconded by Councilman Gerhardstein to suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2024-49 on third and final reading. Discussion? Councilman Jaworski.
Just one question, what's the time frame that this is going to be, time frame that this is from?
May through August 23rd.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion on the suspension? Sandy, please call the roll.
Gerhardson.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto.
Yes.
Steelman.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Thielman to adopt ordinance 2024-49 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Gerhardson.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto.
Yes.
Steelman.
Yes.
Ordinance passes. Resolutions?
Resolution number 2024-13. This is the first reading, a resolution requesting the Lake County, Ohio Auditor to make advance payment of taxes.
Other legislation? Miscellaneous? Councilman Gerhardstein.
I'm sorry, Ron, I forgot to ask you this during your report. So last year, we asked about the Rockefeller LED lights from CEI. We were going to start replacing those lights by the school. Have those lights ever been replaced?
They have not. I actually had a conversation with Wendy Zeelig today from First Energy, finding out the engineering has been approved. The lights are on order. They're waiting on the LED lights. The lights are on back order. She said they should be installed before the end of October.
So, and then part of the road improvement project, we added streetlights to the roads that were repaved this year. They were streetlight upgrades included. Is there any, obviously this took almost a year to get these done.
Those haven't even been addressed yet, but I don't know if it was actually part of the road project or not, or we were going to address it separately. You're talking about, I know we brought it up, but we're going to do, you're talking about Roberts Extension, Richard Gary, all the ones for the
Right.
2024 road project?
We had brought it up during the improvements that we were adding streetlights to the roads that we paved. We were adding streetlight upgrades to those projects. Right?
Yes, we did.
Okay. So we might as well get going, might as well ask, because it took a year to get the ones by the school done, and they're not even done yet.
No, they will be at the end of October. I did talk to Wendy today, as a matter of fact.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to add senior zoning to the committee of the whole meeting on September 30th. So it'll be the safety committee for discussing ordinance 2022-18 at 7 p.m. And the committee of the whole will have two items, and that'll be the incomplete building projects and the senior zoning. That's the following meeting. Any other miscellaneous? I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Jaworski to adjourn the meeting. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Gerhardson.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski. Levon.
Yes.
Soloto.
Yes.
Steelman.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.